there's some who will be in our way. Why are there obstacles? Feeling this was a weakness. Feeling that this was a contradiction to everything he had said to them. Or is an actual fact. That's not the case. The case is that as Christians, we must face obstacles. As Christians, we must face those who stand in our way. Because we are, as our Lord reminds us, in the world, but not of the world. And so when we are not of the world, we are not living a life of the world. And when we are not living a life of the world, then we are stopped by the world. You see, that was the ministry of our Lord Jesus Christ. It was the ministry of his disciples and apostles, and it's our ministry. To be confident and powerful, not just when things appear to be smooth, but especially when things appear to be completely stacked against us. To be powerful, especially when we know, as St. Athanasius reminded us, that the whole world is against us. Well, it's of little surprise that we also must sometimes be against the world. Contra mundum. That became the name of St. Athanasius. He is against the world. But gracious, loving, faithful, holy, righteous, yet still against the world. There are some these days who consider being against the world to mean to fight against and attack those of the world, which is not our agenda at all. We fight aggression with peace. We fight hatred with love. And we fight those who desire to cause us harm with the blessings and peace that God himself has given us. We possess all of that. It's within us. It's with us. Daily and always. There is not a time in our lives when we don't have all of the ingredients that lead us and can lead the world through us to salvation. Yes, we have other things battling against it. We have human weakness, we have temptation, we have all of those things. But by the grace of God, with the power of God, we also have all the tools that allow us to stand in the face of these things. Our Lord said to us that in the world you will have tribulation. And this week is all about the tribulation that we will find in the world. If we were going to sum up this week, the ethos of this week, the life of this week, we would sum it up in the words of our Lord. In the world you will find tribulation. And he found tribulation from every side. He was betrayed by one of his disciples. He was turned against by the multitudes who said, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, and then turned to say, crucify him, crucify him. He was let down when presented by the Roman officials saying, who do you want me to release? This man has done no harm. They wanted a thief released. A murderer. He even was denied by those closest to him. When they said to him, but you're a Galilean as well. So Peter said, I don't even know him. And if all that wasn't enough, he was humiliated, he was tortured, he was dragged through the streets He was nailed to the cross. He was raised. He was crowned with thorns. He was speared in his side. He was given sour drink. And then he died on the cross. In the world you will find tribulation. Now please, next time you think you've had a bad day, remember that scenario I just said to you. Next time you think the world is against you, remember what our Lord had to go through in 1 week. The next time you think that life is not fair, think of what our Lord bore for us. And it was absolutely unfair, because he deserved none of it. In the world you will find tribulation. But thankfully and graciously, that is not where the verse stops. That is not where the message of God stops. That is not where our Lord stops. Because the verse goes on to say, in the world you will find tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. So as we go through our lives, as we go through betrayals, as we go through conflicts, as we go through those who deny us, as we go through those who turn against us, as we go through those who suddenly, once being friends, are no longer friends, those who spitefully use us, those who curse us, as we go through those, we remind ourselves, in the world we will find tribulation. But one thing that makes us as Christians pretty strange in the eyes of the world is that in the midst of all of that, in the midst of all that tribulation, we are of good cheer. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. How does it make sense for martyrs to be going to the lions in the Colosseum singing spiritual songs and hymns? How does it make sense for St. Paul to be imprisoned and yet minister to his captors? How does it make sense that the Lord himself is crucified in pain, yet he calls for those who crucified him to be forgiven? How is it that we can be of good cheer? Because we know the end of the story. We know what's to come. We know that in the world we will find tribulation, and when we find tribulation, we are going to be of good cheer because we know for a fact, unreservedly, with confidence, that our Lord has overcome the world. That the empty tomb has overcome the cross. That life has overcome death, and that righteousness has overcome sin. So what is there not to rejoice about? It goes against every atom of our being to rejoice and give thanks when we have tribulation. It goes against every atom of our being to be hopeful sometimes. Because humanly, logically, in a worldly context, that is not a time when you have hope. That is not a time when you are joyful. It's a time when you think, oh, woe is me. But actually, it is the time, as St. Paul is reminded, in which the glory of God is made most evident in our weakness. It is a time in which the victory of God is made most evident in our apparent defeat. For as we die with him, we rise with him. As we are persecuted with him, we are victorious with him. As we walk the road of Golgotha, and as sometimes we are crucified with him, then we are raised, risen, victorious with him. So, my message for myself, and if you would like to join me in it, please feel free. My message for myself this week is this: truly rejoice in the face of tribulation. Savor it. Value it. When we are asked, "Oh death, where is your sting?" Come on, bring on your best. Is that the best you have? Is this the best tribulation? Is this the best temptation? Do you think you've beat me? You know what? You have no idea. You have no idea. Because you don't know what's coming after the cross. You don't know the victory and the power that came out of that sealed tomb. I do. I am confident. I know it. It's a historical fact. And it is the basis of my faith. So we rejoice. We accept suffering. We accept tribulation. We find it a blessing. But not because we like the pain, but because we know the beauty of the joy that comes after that pain, that words cannot describe. So this week we journey with our Lord. We journey victoriously. We journey as his disciples. We journey lovingly. And we journey knowing that while the road may be hard, the place of our destination is filled with glory, victory, and peace that can only come from the resurrected Lord, who raises us with him and glories in his name.